with your family and friends crying as you're led out of the courtroom to serve the rest of your life in prison.
In the unforgiving streets, where law and violence are an ever-present threat, the lives of individuals can quickly spiral into chaos with a single misstep.
Life without parole plus 163 years.
Explore these gang members' grim reality of life sentences and stay to the end to hear how a witness and her family's life got turned upside down.
The case has been described as the biggest and most complex gang prosecution in the province. During the trial, 6 state witnesses were murdered.
George Jewel Thomas, notorious as the leader of the feared 28s gang in Bishop Lavis, found himself at the center of the country's largest gang trial, accused of orchestrating killings and ordering assassinations while he was locked up in prison. In a trial where only 1 out of 18 accused was acquitted of all charges, all testimonies pointed at Thomas's involvement. One witness recounted the gang's attempt to assassinate Curtis Esterhuizen, a member of the rival Clever Kids gang who survived a shootout on April 14, 2008. The very next day, police caught 3 individuals, including George Thomas, after a shooting incident in Bishop Lavis. Thomas was allegedly found in the back of a bakkie, armed with a rifle equipped with a telescopic sight and silencer, while others carried a box of ammunition in the front. But the terror surrounding Esterhuizen's life didn't end there. On September 8, 2008, a third incident occurred where shots were fired on the street where Esterhuizen resided, paralyzing 1 person. Tragically, during a 4th attempt on November 23, 2008, Marvin Esterhuizen lost his life simply because he was mistaken for his brother Curtis by attackers. Despite surviving a point-blank shot to the head on November 2, 2009, Curtis Esterhuizen declined the offer of witness protection, only to meet his demise 5 months later while riding his bicycle in Bishop Lavis. The 28s gang was regarded as a criminal enterprise operating under the leadership of George Jewel Thomas of the Cape Flats. Seated beside him in the dock was Ashraf Arab Rycliffe, a leader of the 26s gang known for their bloody turf wars with the 28s. Despite the rivalry, it was alleged that the 2 gangs conspired to eliminate the father of a key witness in the trial, Cecil Barnes. Tragically, Barnes was fatally shot in his kitchen in Bishop Lavis on October 16, 2010. Despite the dangers posed by his involvement in the trial, Cecil Barnes chose not to accept the state's offer of witness protection, standing firm alongside his son, Regan Barnes, in their pursuit of justice. The indictment against Jewel Thomas listed a staggering array of charges, including 19 counts of murder, 29 attempted murders, extortion, racketeering, incitement, conspiracy, theft, robbery, and possession of firearms and ammunition. The state planned to summon 370 witnesses, with several of them placed under witness protection for their safety. But several state witnesses met untimely deaths, allegedly on orders from Thomas while he was still in prison since his 2008 arrest.
During the trial, 6 state witnesses were murdered, allegedly on Thomas's instructions while he was incarcerated.
According to many, Thomas was responsible, all while being locked up in his prison cell. One chilling instance of allegation is that Thomas ordered the assassination of Andrew Williams over a phone call from inside a cell at the Delft police station on May 5, 2008. And in May 2015, George Jewel Thomas received life sentences for each of the 7 murders for which he was convicted. Despite all the lives he took and the families he destroyed, Thomas maintained a smug demeanor, his arrogance palpable even as the weight of justice bore down upon him. He was found guilty on a staggering 53 charges, including 7 counts of murder, 2 of racketeering, and multiple other serious offenses. The convictions spanned a series of gruesome crimes, with Thomas held accountable for the deaths of individuals such as Angelo Klassen, Glenston Martin, Uzrea Abrahams, Haywin Stridham, Cecil Barnes, Gresham Boyson, and Nadine Davids, each tragedy leaving a deep scar on the communities affected. Accompanying Thomas were 16 co-accused, all facing a multitude of charges amounting to 166 in total, encompassing murder, attempted murder, racketeering, and conspiracy to commit crimes. His co-defendants, sharing the dock with him, also remained stoic in the face of their convictions. Our next case of the Carpio Brothers is almost like it's out of a blockbuster gang movie.
2 gang members were sentenced today for killing a teenager on a high school campus in the Valley.
In the late afternoon of April 24, 2013, Antonio and Michael Stephen Carpio, known as the Rockwoods, due to their affiliation with the Rampart area street gang with the same name, arrived at Cleveland High School to pick up their 15-year-old brother, George, who was a student. Raised in Los Angeles, the Carpio Brothers had been initiated into one of the notorious Rockwood street gangs in the Westlake area, which led their family to move to Panorama City in hopes of distancing themselves from the grip of gang life. It's speculated that one or both of the assailants may have also attended Cleveland High at some point, according to accounts from students. It was during this visit to the school that they encountered Kevin Orellana, a former student who still visited the campus to play handball with his friends. Orellana, an 18-year-old known for his athleticism and agility, was also called La Pulga, in English, the Flea, for his small stature and lightning-fast reflexes as a soccer goalie. Despite having graduated from Reseda High School a year prior, Orellana continued to spend time at Cleveland High while attending the West Valley Occupational Center in Woodland Hills to complete his high school education.
As a parent, we plan to dance at their wedding, celebrate a promotion, look forward to possible grandchildren. The last thought we would ever have is that we will have to plan their funeral.
Kevin Orellana of North Hollywood aspired to be a rapper, with plans to pursue enrollment in Cal State Northridge's esteemed kinesiology program as a backup. Despite his shaved head and numerous tattoos, Orellana staunchly distanced himself from gang affiliations, a fact reiterated by both Doerbeker and his family members. But his encounter with the Carpio brothers made everything crash. As the elder Carpio asked Orellana where he was from, insinuating gang ties, Orellana firmly denied any such association, saying that he belonged to no gang. The altercation escalated swiftly, with the taller Carpio initiating physical violence. Yet Orellana, despite his smaller stature, quickly gained the upper hand. But the confrontation took a tragic turn when the younger Carpio brother brandished a knife from his pocket and delivered 2 fatal stab wounds to Orellana's chest. Afterward, the Carpio brothers quickly fled the scene, with members of the Cleveland football team in pursuit. Despite efforts to catch them, the brothers managed to escape to a maroon minivan. Orellana was quickly transported to Northridge Hospital Medical Center, but it was too late to save him. Medical examination revealed a fatal stab wound piercing his heart, sealing his untimely demise and leaving a community reeling in shock and grief. Upon arriving at the crime scene, the police documented every detail. Among the array of evidence, they noted the remnants of the victim's clothing and traced a trail of blood and red stains on the asphalt, which suggested a frantic escape. One notable detail that caught the police's attention was a water bottle belonging to a teacher who tried to help the victim. But it was the unwavering courage of the student witnesses that left a lasting impression. Despite the looming threat of retaliation in a gang-affiliated case, these young individuals stood firm, eager to provide invaluable testimony. One particular student provided key details, linking one of the suspects to a distinctive tattoo often seen on campus, ultimately leading to the identification of Michael Carpio. Following their apprehension at their residence in Panorama City, the Carpio brothers offered varying accounts on the events leading up to the fatal stabbing. Michael Carpio claimed that Orellana had provoked him with a threatening glare, while Anthony initially denied involvement before eventually conceding to being present on the campus. But when pressed for a motive behind the stabbing, Anthony's response remained cryptic. In the end, Anthony Carpio of Panorama City and his brother, Michael Steve Carpio, from Pacoima, were found guilty on October 31, 2015, of second-degree murder in connection with the tragic death of Kevin Orellana. Anthony, who was 16 years old at the time of the fatal incident when he wielded a knife and inflicted multiple stab wounds upon Orellana, received a sentence of 16 years to life in prison. Meanwhile, his older brother Michael, who was an adult at the time of the April 24, 2013 killing and was reportedly unarmed during the attack, was sentenced to 15 years to life behind bars. This case serves as a tragic reminder that the mentality of gang members can have a devastating impact on the innocent. If the Carpio brothers hadn't gotten involved with their gang at such young ages, Kevin Orellana would be alive today. Now, we're going all the way to Springfield, where a Latin King member is facing first-degree murder charges.
Charged with robbery, drug crimes, and other offenses. A spokesperson for the district attorney's office, Jim Lagden, told 22 News another defendant, Jonathan Guevara, was also charged with the murder of 18-year-old Lopez. The discovery of 18-year-old Latin King member Kenneth Lopez's body on March 25, 2015, sent shockwaves through the city's north end. Found in the yard of a house at Dwight and Calhoun Streets, Lopez had succumbed to fatal gunshot wounds sustained overnight. The perpetrator behind this was revealed to be a 25-year-old Latin King member, Lee Rios.
Following the murder, Rios stockpiled ammunition and firearms as he believed that the gang would seek retribution for his actions. The murder of Kenneth Lopez was not a spur-of-the-moment act, but rather a meticulously planned and aggressively pursued crime. Rios himself orchestrated the murder with calculated precision, with the help of fellow Latin Kings members. Despite both Lopez and Rios being affiliated with the Latin Kings, their relationship had soured, leading to a falling out between them. In an attempt to reconcile their differences, Rios devised a plan to lure Lopez from his residence under the guise of resolving a personal conflict. But his intentions proved futile, and it culminated in a tragic and fatal outcome. On February 7, 2017, Lee Rios faced the consequences of his actions as he was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. As he listened to the judge reading the verdict, Rios' demeanor was quite calm for someone who just found out that they will be spending the rest of their lives behind bars. We now go to Jefferson County, where a gang member is facing life plus 163 years in prison for one of the most brutal cases you'll see.
In 2018, after Duran stepped up to pick out a shooting suspect in a lineup, she was lured, kidnapped, shot 10 times, and killed before her body was set on fire.
In November 2018, in Jefferson County, a distress call was made to the police to a fire at Nile Street and Colfax Avenue in Golden just before 2 a.m. Firefighters responded to find a small blaze near a dumpster, but their grim discovery was 28-year-old Simone Duran's lifeless body nearby. Earlier that year, Duran had identified Alonzo Quintana in a lineup for a shooting she'd witnessed, earning her the label of a snitch from Quintana and his gang associates. On social media, 36-year-old Abel Candy Gallegos from Lakewood reached out to Duran. In a fateful encounter in early November, Gallegos, along with Rene Francisco Rosales and others, met Duran at a Denver residence. They left together, with Rosales later departing. Gallegos and Duran then made their way to a parking lot at West Colfax and Kipling, where Alonzo Quintana awaited. Quintana and Gallegos attacked Duran and chained her in the back of their vehicle before driving to a remote area at West 7th Avenue and Nile Street in Golden. There, outside the car, Gallegos and Quintana fired upon Duran, striking her with 10 bullets. They fled the scene shortly after. Later, Gallegos and Rosales returned to the spot, covered Duran's body with gasoline, and set it on fire. Following a 3-week trial involving 50 witnesses and over 400 pieces of evidence, Abel Candy Gallegos, Alonzo Quintana, and Rene Francisco Rosales were all convicted of multiple offenses. Alonzo Quintana, labeled a habitual criminal, received a life sentence in addition to 160 years behind bars, marking his 3rd felony conviction. Similarly, Rene Francisco Rosales was handed a hefty sentence of 150 years in prison, his 7th felony conviction casting a shadow over his future. On January 31st, Jude Philip McNulty handed down the harshest possible sentences to Abel Candy Gallegos for all 9 charges, including the mandatory life imprisonment without parole for first-degree murder. Adding to this, Gallegos faced an additional 163 years behind bars for his other offenses. Ultimately, Simone Duran faced consequences for merely being a good citizen. If this video was an eye-opener, make sure to check out the next video.